Alright guys, so my presentation is on the Zoll Autopulse NXT device. This is an automatic cardiopulmonary resuscitation device. So what is an arrest? In medicine, an arrest is when the patient is pulseless and apneic. This means that they are not breathing. This can happen for a multitude of reasons, as you will see on the next slide. Oftentimes we do not work certain patients based on a set of criteria that are in dead. These patients are called DOAs, dead on arrivals. I'm sure you've heard that term, in music or on TV shows. Most patients who suffer an arrest are in their houses, typically in the bedroom or the bathroom. There's something called vagling out, where a patient can pass out in the bathroom, and typically they'll pass out, hit their head, or they'll pass out in a weird position and asphyxiate. So they end up coding in the bathroom while on the toilet. I've had quite a few of those in my career. So there's three main different types of arrests. There's a cardiac arrest, where the patient's heart stops beating. This leads to no oxygen getting pumped into the brain, which causes the brain to die. It can be for a billion different reasons. There's a clot in the veins, blood can't circulate back and get pumped to the lungs and get oxygen. There's a respiratory arrest, where a breathing related problem causes the arrest. So like typically you'll see that in kids when they get smothered in blankets, or I had one that was like fell in between the mattress and the wall, and he was kind of smushed in there by the mom. So he ended up coding. And then a trauma arrest is when traumatic injuries cause an arrest, either by loss of blood or by more physiological damages, like your leg fell off or whatever. Those are the three main types of arrests. So how does CPR work? First thing we do on arrest is manual cardiopulmonary resuscitation, or CPR. This is done by pushing down on the chest in a manner that simulates the beating of a heart. This action pushes blood through the heart and out throughout the body. Brain death can start within 6 minutes of an arrest, so CPR is vital to save at least some of the brain tissue from death. While any form of CPR helps, inadequate compressions will ruin a patient's chances of making a comeback. Proper CPR immediately following an arrest can double or triple a patient's chances of survival. That's that by the AHA. So there's two types of CPR, at least right now. There's manual and automatic. Manual is when a person is physically doing compressions, like you've seen in all the movies and everything. There's automatic. Automatic CPR is beneficial to manual CPR because humans face the following issues. Fatigue from continuous compressions. I've been doing it a while. I can probably do like 4 rounds of 2-minute compressions, but after that, I gotta get somebody else to hop in. Typically, like new hires, you'll see them do like maybe half a round and they just get exhausted. It takes a lot to do compressions, especially on bigger people, because you can't really push down all the way. They're pretty rubbery. And then there's inadequate depth. You're supposed to get 2/3 of the way down. On an adult, like 2/3 down into their body. Inadequate speed. Sometimes as a human we mess up our rhythms, or like you're supposed to sing the song but you might mess it up sometimes. And then tight spaces, minimizing adequacy. Like I said earlier, a lot of people code in bathrooms, hoarding houses, all kinds of disgusting things. Really small spaces, and it's hard to fit multiple people in there to do what we got to do. So the Zoll Autopulse NXT device is the device we are talking about today. It's an automated CPR device that can increase a patient's chance of living when used correctly. Zoll created the Autopulse device as a direct competitor for the Lucas CPR device. These machines, while different, both provide automatic regular compressions with adequate depth and release throughout the duration of the entire code. Zoll Autopulse is a device that reduces risk and can perform adequate compressions when manuals are not practical. So these are my pictures. I included 2 instead of the 1, just so we could see the difference between the Autopulse and the Lucas. On the left, you have the Autopulse. This little board you put underneath the patient, and then you put the strap over them. Very useful for tight spaces. On the right, you have the Lucas, which is also another widely used device. However, it is a little bit more clunky. The strap you see on the side of the thing, you strap the patient's hands to, like they're giving the Lucas a hug. So it takes up a little bit more room. So whenever we get a patient back, it's called ROSC, return of spontaneous circulation. According to a study comparing the Autopulse and Lucas automatic CPR devices, the Lucas CPR device showed a lower survival rate than the Autopulse. 820 patients were included. Parameters included ROSC more than 20 minutes and survival to discharge. Some reports, however, state that the Autopulse does not in fact improve outcomes for patients. It's a very new device, so people are really unsure of whether or not it helps. That being said, it's a medical device in the medical field. It definitely doesn't worsen a patient's condition. So any device that helps improve patients' lives is a lifesaver.